New Jersey!
It's just Jersey, man. We're a different breed. Place. Who doesn't want to win in Jersey?
And the Scarlet Knights did not have a national champion before tonight, and it's RU times 2.
What's up, everybody? Breakdown at the Barn is back. Just got back from up north. Big Rutgers match. I'm excited. We're at episode 13. With me, as always, is the greatest mind in wrestling, Eric Winnuck. Also, big week in wrestling coming up in Philly area. We got Penn State's bringing their 4 national champs into the Palestra to take on Upenn. I got our Penn correspondent in the house, Josh Bailer. Josh, no one knows Penn wrestling more than Josh. Josh was an EIWA champ for them back in the great teams of the 90s. He was an all Ivy League. He was ranked in the top 10. We're happy to have you here, Josh. How's it going, man?
Thanks. Great to be here. Big fan of Rutgers. If it's not Penn, I'm rooting for Rutgers. I'm a Jersey guy, true and true.
Got it. Awesome, man. Awesome. How you making out, Eric? You doing good?
Yeah, I just got back from a nice little trip to PA, whirlwind, Thanksgiving holiday. So all's good. Got the tree up, got the lights up. We're ready to go.
There's a tree shortage, you know that. I went out to buy a tree yesterday. I'm getting it delivered Thursday, but it was slim pickings this year, man. Slim pickings, but we got one, man. We got one.
It's those supply chain deals, but I'm lucky enough. We've got a family friend who's got a tree farm out in PA that we go to every year. They always got one on cue from me. So no shortage at the Winnuck household.
Nice. You're set. So listen, Josh, tell us about these teams of the 90s for Upenn. That was the heyday of Penn wrestling. Top points in the EIWA. What was it like wrestling on those teams?
It was quite an experience. I came in 93, 94, and my recruiting class included Brandon Slay, as most people know, ended up an Olympic champ.
He was a good one.
Yeah, it was a lot of fun. We all met at the Junior Nationals our senior year in high school, and Coach Reyna, who now obviously is back to coach Penn, got us all together, and we got introduced, and it was a real great feeling to know that we're starting the next year all together with Slay highlighting the team. So we had a great recruiting class, and then that carried through 94, 95, 96, and then I graduated 97. 96 was a great year for us. It was kind of a hallmark year. We jumped off and Penn won the EIWAs up in Syracuse for the first time in 25 years. Wow. And we had our first EIW champ in that same period, something like 25 years. Brett Motter started off. He won the Easterns as a sophomore or maybe even a freshman.
Yeah.
Clinton, I came next. I won it. Clinton won it. We took the team title, and it kind of leapfrogged us into what we ended up doing in the next year in 97, where we came back, and I think we were ranked, top 15 throughout the year. Went to the Easterns, and I think 8 of 10 wrestlers were in the finals. We came away from the Easterns that year at Penn, which was a great experience, with the team title and the record that still holds today for the most team points in that tournament. So it was a great experience. A lot of good guys on that team, both athletes and now professionals. So I look back on that time with a lot of pride. It was really a great experience.
Yeah, I remember that year at Eastern. You guys everything was firing on all cylinders. I remember everyone was punting through to the finals. Great team, great year for you. Had a lot of stars on that team. I think you guys missed out with these NIL deals they got going on now. What are some of the deals you think? You got the Modders there, you got Slay, you got yourself. What are some of the deals you think you guys could sign?
Well, I think at the time, Slay definitely was the highlight of what we had going on. When I left in 97, that was prior to Brett Motter winning the national title. But, Slay's a Texas guy. He came to school. He's from the panhandle of Texas, right? So pretty country. Came to school with a cowboy hat on and cowboy boots. So I could see a scenario where Slay had some type of rodeo sponsorship, out there with a cowboy hat on, Stetsons, right? Whatever it was. Is some type of sponsorship there. I I could see the modders, pretty boys, always hair, right? So, what was big back in the late 90s? I don't know, Vidal Sassoon, right? So
Z Cavarici.
What's that?
Z Cavarici.
Cavarici pants, Vidal Sassoon hair products. That's where I think the modders would have ended up.
Yeah, I think they would have done it, man. That would have been a good match for them. So listen, we come on the show. We're ready with our, what we're talking about an hour before bombshell hits. Everyone's talking, where's Surriano going for the past year? A lot of colleges thrown out there. Penn State, Ohio State, Arizona State. Out of nowhere, Nick Surriano is going to be a Michigan Wolverine. Eric, what do you think about that news? What does that do to the title picture? What does that do for Nick Surriano?
Well, I think I assume he's going to go 25. Has he announced that?
I'm going to imagine that,
Yeah, I mean, that's really what that breaks it down for me is if you can get that dream scenario of a rematch with Spencer Lee in the finals. I mean, I think that's what everyone would love to see for various reasons. Listen, he's still got a lot of guys to go through. I mean, we're talking about those Ivy League schools. There's a guy over at Princeton who, when we're going to talk about, the whole idea of sitting guys, but obviously Glory didn't get to wrestle Spencer earlier this year, but you've got some tough guys. You got Vito out there. So it's certainly not going to be a cakewalk. But my guess is if Nicky's at 100% and he's going to basically walk into that lineup, I don't know if he's going to walk in January 2nd semester. I don't know how it works out. But there's a good probability you could see that Spencer Lee, Nick Surriano final. And if I think that happens, brings the two of them full circle, I think that's the story. Listen, Nicky's been rumored to go to Iowa State. He's been rumored to go to Penn State, Ohio State. So to me, I got kind of bored by the whole thing, to be frank. Team Surriano is going to do what Team Surriano is going to do. I think we thank him from his time at Rutgers, 2 national finalist appearances, obviously won the first chip for us, and then, Ashnall, a couple of weight classes after that. So I don't have a bad thing to say about Surriano. I wish the kid luck. As a wrestling fan, especially if we make it out to Minnesota this year, I want to see that final.
Yeah, it'd be great. What do you think, Josh?
Yeah, so much mystery around Surriano. So much drama, but at the end of the day, he's a contender for the national title, and any way you cut it. So whatever team picked him up was going to immediately jump up in the rankings. I think Michigan's ranked 4th or 5th at this point. Adding Surriano to that mix is a ton of team points at the national. Right? So any way you cut it, Michigan now, it's a decent chance to bump up in that. I'm not going to go so far as say national title because Penn State, Iowa, really tough right now, but definitely a big feather in the cap of Michigan at this point.
Yeah, you look at it. I mean, they got Miles Amin, 3rd in the Olympics. They got Stefan Micic. He's right in there for the national title. That could throw 3 champs out there, as well as, don't forget about Patrick Bruckey they picked up. He could be in the finals at 97. And, Mason Paris, he could be in the finals there. So you're popping, if you're able to pop 5 guys in the finals, I mean, you're right in there in that hunt, despite how good Penn State and Iowa is. You never, they just kind of snuck in there to be somebody right in that title picture.
John, here's my question. If you get this is a setup question. If you get Spencer Lee and Surriano in a Big Ten final, does that actually happen?
And I'm going to say, because of, we're going to get into this again, I'm going to say it doesn't happen one way or the other. I don't know which way it would go, but I think it doesn't happen. And, this is episode 13. We know what's exit 13 on the Turnpike. I was getting off that last night to go to the Prudential Center. Big event, big venue, a lot of excitement in there. Rutgers, they brought it, man. They won 8 matches versus Hofstra. They won 7 matches versus UNC. I think it was a big disappointment where UNC, some of their starters going up against Rutgers Hammers, did not take the mat. And, even Mike Van Brill, 7-0 on the year, was going to go up against an All-American, Zach Sherman. People were excited about that match. Sherman wrestled the match before. He's been taking some losses. Mike Van Brill's been on fire. Did not send him out about it. What are your thoughts there, Winup?
Well, you talk about Sherman. I think that's his 4th straight loss. So he lost to Gomez. So going into that, I don't know where he's going to be ranked going into next week. I mean, he's lost to quality guys, Heil, Love it. Obviously, Sammy Sosa to open things up. So here's my take, and I'll give a backdrop. Number one, obviously, John, you and I were going back and forth where we're going to be. We're going to meet up at the match. We do some live video. I had a nice whirlwind weekend, headed out to PA, had a great Thanksgiving weekend, did some shopping, went out, cut the tree down, got my, Griswold family Christmas thing going on, come back. The kids wanted to go to the last football game. So we headed out 7:00 in the morning, got up, drove out from Bloomsburg, PA, down to the Rutgers game. Halftime, I'm sitting there saying, what the hell am I doing here? Getting our butts whipped. I'm cold. I'm tired. I get back home. I'm put up lights. Long or the short, I'm thinking to myself, it's 4:30. Do I really want to hop on the train to Newark? I was so shocked, and I felt intense guilt, John, the fact that I did not head out to the match, thinking to myself, I should be there, but I got the Big Ten Network. And I'm going to be honest with you, John, when I saw North Carolina poll, I'm actually glad I didn't go because I would have been so ticked off. You had about 3 or 4 ranked wrestlers that would have gone against, I think it was 33, 49, 25, pause at 184. They all sat. And to me, if this was a one-time event, it is what it is. But this seems to be the trend in wrestling, and Brands gets a lot of crap for what he does, where he sits guys. I go back several years ago, speaking of Surriano, when he was going to have a big matchup. I think it was Tomasello, and he was quote unquote at a wedding or some insane excuse. But this thing about wrestling, where we sit guys and duels to either protect seating or protect injury, whatever the case is, I'm getting to the point. I'm a little calmer today, simply because I think it's been beaten to a dead horse in Twitter, and everyone's Lex on, I think Rivals wrote a really nice article on it. So I'm not going to take it too far, John, because I think it's been said enough. But I'm at the point now, if the season doesn't matter, let's stop kidding each other and just start wrestling in January and just run a few duels. Let's go to March. Let's just kill the regular season. And let's see what that does to the sport. Let's see what that does to other programs, okay? Because to me, these coaches at some point, I personally think if you sit and you're a healthy scratch, in my opinion, they should start digging that against the wrestlers. So if you don't want to wrestle Seabass, fine. When we go to seeding, we count that as a loss, in our opinion, okay? I think we've got to do something because, in my opinion, if you're healthy and you're ready to go and there's people there paying good money to go see a dual meet, especially when we think how far wrestling has come in the last 10, 15 years, something's got to happen because this isn't good for the sport.
Yeah, I'll tell you what my take is. And if you're sitting because of an injury, if you're someone that's dinged up and needs to have a pitch count, I can see that. Or you're getting someone else in the lineup, I can see that. But listen, man, this is an event. This was at the Prudential Center. This is a big venue in Newark. We invited UNC to come out there. This was a Rutgers event, man. If Rutgers wasn't at that event, that event wouldn't have happened. There's more Rutgers shirts than anybody else there. So, we're bringing these other teams in to get a chance to wrestle at this big venue. You got to bring it, man. I think honestly, for me, it's disrespectful to Rutgers. It's disrespectful to wrestling. It's disrespectful for Queen Latifah. Queen Latifah is a Newark native, man. That's her town. You don't go into her town and don't bring your A game. You know what I mean? So I think they should have brought it. I was pretty upset about that. I don't think it would have changed the outcome. I said Rutgers was going to win 6 matches. They won 7. Maybe if they had all the guys in, I think they still would have won 7 the way Rutgers has been wrestling and the way you saw NC State was wrestling. I think they still would have won 7 matches. But it was something the fans wanted to see. The fans wanted to see Mike Van Brill versus Zach Sherman. The fans wanted to see Seabass versus a ranked wrestler. They wanted to see that. They got robbed of that. And like you said, we need to start making that, making that get dinged in the NCAA. You shouldn't get dinged if you go out there. If you go out against Seabass and you take a loss to Seabass, that shouldn't count towards you not making nationals. What do you expect? They have this, they have the way it works is there's a winning percentage. Well, who cares if you're beating someone that's 2-22, right? If you're, who cares about that? That goes during your win percentage. I want to see their ability against ranked wrestlers.
In what other sport do we sit athletes unless they're injured, right? I don't know sport where if you're going up against a potential loss or a really tough opponent, game, match, whatever it is, does the team sit, right? Imagine the NFL. Yeah, sorry, we're taking this one off, right? Imagine the NBA. Yeah, we're taking this one off. It just doesn't happen. So I don't know how properly to structure the rules to penalize it, other than Eric, what you said. If you're healthy and maybe there needs to be an IR or something, right? And if you're not on that IR and you're healthy, you don't show up for that match. Well, then that's effectively some type of loss or penalized in some way when you get to the rankings for nationals. I couldn't agree more.
Yeah. So let's go to somebody who not scared to take a loss, right? Let's talk about Rob Kennard. Rob Kennard had the flu last week. He went to practice for the first time on Friday, goes up against a national champ, man, and he brought it. What you think about that match, Eric?
Well, right away he goes in there, gets in the leg, gets the takedown, and you do see this happen. Okay, a lot of times you'll see a top ranked wrestler, top 3 wrestler, goes against an opponent of Kennard's skill set, and we talked about this a couple of weeks ago, where maybe Robbie Kennard doesn't necessarily have the national exposure, yet this is still a guy, a multiple state champion, a top recruit. The guy's got skill, and he's got a really good offensive game plan on his feet. So it's not a surprise of getting that first takedown, but he got into his legs multiple times. I mean, he was this close to opening up 4-1 on that last scramble, kind of on the edge of the mat there. And I'm thinking to myself, my God, he's going to take the 4-1 lead. The only problem was he fell into O'Connor's wheelhouse, kind of going a little bit upper body. He was doing that sit coming in. And as he's doing it, I'm thinking to myself, Kolodzik versus Ashton, okay?
He set it up perfectly.
Just don't do that. Stick to your game plan. Be a little bit more. And I'm going to say the exact opposite of what I said about Poznansky, because Poz is a big bottom wrestler. He scores from bottom. I almost felt like Kennard needed to avoid O'Connor's, basically his strength, and he went upper body a couple of times, and that's kind of where he got put to his back. But let me tell you something, he fought off, got out of it, and that third period he kept coming, and I think Kennard scored the last takedown, kept the major off the plate. And I know that O'Connor's coming off, I think he's got 1 loss this season, but he looks strong. He looks like he's going to make another run, but I'm really bullish on Robbie at the tail end of the season, what he can start to do. I hope he builds off this, John, because it wasn't just the fact that he got the opening takedown. He almost took a 4-1 lead, had some nice scrambles, fell back a little bit when he fell into O'Connor's game, but to come back in the third period, score again, keep the major away, end up finishing the mat on top, to me, I think that's all good signs for the future.
Yeah, well, listen, I'll tell you what, I made a blunder last week. I pronounced it Kennard. There is an I in there. I got hell in my DMs. You don't want to mess with this family. The mom jumped in there, Lisa. She gave me hell. The I is silent. There's no I in Kennard. There's no I in team. He's a team player. He went out there. He got it done. Good work for him. I'm not making that mistake again. I'm not messing with the Kennards. I see good things from Robbie going forward. Listen, 197, Greg Bulzak, man. This guy is a hammer. This guy got the MVP award. 6-0 for the year. He has 3 ranked wins. Listen to these scores on his ranked wins. 12-1 over Ben Smith, 8-2 over Max Scholl, then 8-3 over Trey Rogers. This guy is a hammer on top. He brings it. He's good at every position. I think he's gonna make some noise. Important match happened later in the night. We didn't wrestle Wisconsin, but Trey Rogers goes against Braxton Amos. I think most people think Braxton Amos, world champ. Most people have him and going to place in the top 3 at 197. Trey Amos took out Trey Rogers took out Braxton Amos in OT. I think that says a lot about where Greg Bulzak sits right now at 197. What are your thoughts on that?
Well, for one thing, when he signed, he came over as the transfer. Obviously, we felt like we were fairly strong at 197. So I was, not that I thought it was a wash coming over from Clarion. I mean, this is I don't know if he's a 3-time national qualifier or whatever the case is, but seeing him in the room now and actually seeing him on the mat, okay. I didn't follow enough of him when he was at Clarion, but what I see right now, I'm thinking to myself, why isn't this guy placed yet? Because listen, we haven't gotten to the bulk of the schedule yet. And I'd like to see how he kind of performs against those top 10 wrestlers to see if things change. Because obviously you got to take a opponent in consideration, but just his style and his crispness right now, I mean, he dominated that match, and it was a well-deserved MVP because he literally dominated the match. I'm really excited to see what he can do in the second half of the season, but I think this kid is going to be – he's our dark horse to get top 8 this year. I really like how he's wrestling. He's really solidified the top of that lineup because we've talked about this. From 184 up to heavyweight, when you throw in Boone the way he's wrestling, that's a really strong way to end kind of – end the top half of the weight class. So, again, I'm cautiously optimistic. Obviously, having Paz in the room, having guys like Miles Martin around, okay, that can only help where his trajectory is because he's getting pushed in the room. And I'm sure, Josh, you were talking about those old UPenn teams, okay, when you got guys like the Modders and Slay in the room. When you have good competition to go against day after day after day, that only makes it better for you. And I think him being in that Rutgers room with what we have in the upper weight class, I think has really helped him take it to that next level. But again, let's see. I want to be cautiously optimistic, John, because it's a long season. And before we still getting overexcited, because we have a tendency to do that, we're a bit of homers. I want to see what he can do. But to me, I like what I see so far.
Yeah, well, you're going to get a chance to see it. He got a ranked guy against Army. Next, he goes out to Midlands. He'll get Jacob Warner. And then Penn State's beginning of January, get Max Dean. He'll get Braxton Amos in there. So we're going to see what he is. I'm excited about it. I'll tell you what, this MVP award, I love that. He got this Spartan mask like they give gladiators. I thought that was pretty cool. I think he wanted that. I think he's a tough guy. I'm really for this, getting this mask. I would, if they had that back in my day, I would have been pinning everybody. Josh, you were an EIWA champ. They gave you like a cereal bowl. They give a 5-year-old, right? What you think about that mask bull Zach got?
You're right. I'm looking at it right now. I'm definitely proud of it, but it is a bowl. It's a silver bowl and it tarnishes. So it's hard to maintain it.
It's nice. Well, great day by Rutgers. It was a great event overall. I'll tell you what, I'm going to give Dave Cordobas some credit here. He put together a cool high school event, the Garden State Scrap. There were a lot of women's matches, women wrestling on the rise. They had probably the match of the night was Jayla Hahn versus Emma Materna, 2 state champs. Hahn won that one. And then we got to see Brian Soldano, Rutgers recruit, coming in. He took out Vincenzo Laval 7-1. So great event. Great job, Dave Cordova. I like going up there. Hopefully, maybe they make it an annual thing. We got to bring some other teams in there, but I think it was a great event overall. So let's move over. We got Josh here for a reason. We're talking Penn State versus UPenn. First off, I want to get I'm pumped to go to this Wrestlers in Business event in a Penn before the match, man. That sounds like fun. I know Wrestlers in Business Philly is blowing up now. Why don't you tell us a little bit about that? I know you're the vice chairman of Wrestlers in Business. Tell us about that.
Yeah. Thanks. I'm very proud of what this organization has become. It was relaunched in January of this year, 2021. And since then, we've built it up to 300 members large in the Philadelphia area. That's massive. It's a testament to all of the Philadelphia wrestling fans and all of the universities and high schools. I mean, let's face it, Pennsylvania and New Jersey are 2 of the best and biggest wrestling states in the country, right? So where else, where else are you going to find such a fan base, right? So 300 members large. And, our mission is to connect business leaders and people in business that were wrestlers or have some affiliation with wrestling, looking to network and spend time with like-minded people, all with a goal of furthering the sport of wrestling in our community, right? So we have some philanthropic missions that we're involved in, community support. We support local wrestlers, whether it's those graduating from high school, graduating from the local colleges. We look to place them. Our business leaders are always looking for interns to work for them. So it's wrestlers taking care of wrestlers. And we are such a tight-knit community as it is. We all know the battles that we've gone through. So, it's what better place to find like-minded people, work with like-minded people. So it's really been a great blossoming.
Yeah. So I'm excited about it. Hopefully, I know we're going to get an event over on this side of the river soon too. That'll be fun. I'm looking forward to that event. It's going to be a good time. So let's get into this match, man. Penn State, we know what they're bringing. They're bringing some hammers, 4 national champs, a lot of All-Americans, a lot of firepower there. Tell us a little bit about Penn. What's Penn bringing to the table this year? I know they're quietly building a very solid squad there, right?
Yeah. So, last year the Ivy League decided to cut wrestling, and we all know how that goes, right? So 600 days without wrestling for the Ivy League and Penn. So kind of the thought is, it's time to knock the rust off a little bit. And so UPenn went down to the journeyman. And that was really knocking the rust off, right? The first time they've competed in 600 days. Had a good showing. A couple guys had real nice tournaments. Followed it up last weekend or the weekend before at the Keystone Classic. Took the title there, had some great performances at the Keystone. And, when it comes to leadership, this is Roger Reyna's first year of having all wrestlers that he and Brian Pearsall, the assistant coach, recruited, right? So this is their team. And this is the 4th straight nationally ranked recruiting class that Penn had. So it's kind of they built it back up, and now they're ready to kind of get back out there on the national forum and show everybody what they got.
Nice, and Josh, I mean, think about wrestling the Ivy League now, where UPenn has come, and I think I have to attribute a lot to what the RTC has done there. So Pennsylvania RTC, and I'll give a shout out to your boy Clint Motter, because I know he's involved, and just going down and seeing Joe McKenna and Mark Hall working with those guys, obviously JB over there. Just a great group, and even guys like McFadden. So when you've got that level of firepower, that's basically giving publicity to that program, and seeing the level of wrestlers they're bringing in now. So when you throw in Princeton, you throw in Cornell, it's really exciting. And listen, as Rutgers guys, John and I, it doesn't do us any good, because the level of competition on the recruiting trail, and obviously we're trying to get that student athlete. I hate to say that, smart wrestler. So it's definitely not doing us any favors, but I think if you're a fan of wrestling, if you're a fan of the Northeast area, I think it's nothing but positive. And no, I got to give hats off to what UPenn's done, because that's 3 solid programs now that's in that Ivy League league, so to speak. So, just great stuff across the board.
Nice. Good stuff. So a lot of competitive matches. I mean, they got their hammers at Penn State, but we got a lot of competitive matches here. I'm going to run down a few of them with you, Josh, get your feedback. 125, Penn got Ryan Miller, nationally ranked guy. Penn State's been sending out Bailer Upenn. I know they got Robbie Howard likely redshirting. They might be getting a transfer in there. But right now it looks like it's Bailer Upenn versus Ryan Miller. What do you think about that matchup?
So I think the edge here goes to Ryan Miller. Obviously, if Howard comes back, that's a different dynamic. But with Shunk versus Miller, I think the edge goes to Miller. Look, Miller he's been battle tested. This guy came from Blair Academy, and as you know, one of the best feeder programs outside of Jefferson Township, New Jersey, in the country, right? So I had to throw that in there. But you don't go to Blair, you don't come out of that, not ready to wrestle, right?
Yeah.
So real tough, battle tested. And I give the edge to Ryan Miller in that match.
Got it. Nice. 149, I'm excited about if Anthony Artelona comes back healthy. I know he's been out. I know he might be coming back. Him versus Bo Bartlett. These are 2 guys, depending on what ranking you look at, they're both within that 20 to 25 range. Should be a good matchup. What do you think about that one?
So we're not sure whether Artelona is going to step on the mat or not, right? He's been on the shelf. He's been dealing with injuries. But should he come out, I think the edge goes to Artelona. Both wrestlers here, Bo Bartlett and Artelona, are nationally ranked, but Artelona's been around the block a bit more. And I think with that experience, you got to give the edge to Artelona at 149.
Yeah, definitely. Okay, and then right after that, you got Doug Zamp versus Baradov from Penn State. Zamp is ranked number 19th. He had a good journeyman. He was one of those guys that had a good journeyman. What do you think about that matchup?
Zamp has, he's bumped up considerably. This guy spends a lot of time in the weight room. Mm-hmm. He has a high physical pace, right? So he's out there pounding. And I think Barraclough versus Zap is going to get the edge is going to go to Zap. I know it sounds like I'm being the homer here, but I got to go with my gut on all these matches so far to Penn.
Nice. Now, you talk about feeder programs, right? We got a pretty good one down here in South Jersey. A lot of good guys come from this Camden Catholic Fighting Irish over there. Lucas Ravino. I think he's having a good year, 6-2. I think he's gonna bring some fans across the river. He's taking on Creighton Edsel. I'm excited for that one. What are your thoughts there?
This one's tough. This one, I'd love to give it to Ravano just because he's the Penn guy and a Jersey guy. But I think this one's a toss-up. Both are ranked, right? And the interesting thing is I think it's a clash of styles, right? Edsel he's real strong, keeps in good position, right? And Ravano, not that Ravano's strong, doesn't keep in good position, but he's got that explosive, slick style of wrestling. So I think it's going to be a great match, and I think the winner is going to depend on who dictates the match, who wrestles it their way.
Got it. And then, after that, Penn State has their hammers on the back end. They got 2 national champs, Carter Soroki, Aaron Brooks coming in, ranked 2nd in the country at 197. They got Max Dean, and then Kirk Fleet ranked 4th at heavyweight. So they got some hammers up top. I want to talk more about their 2 national champs down below. Carmen Ferrante, he's tough for Ben, 141. He's taking on Nick Lee. What do you expect out of him?
So if Nick Lee goes, right, there's a chance that it's not Nick Lee and it's Meredith, right? Yeah. So we're assuming Nick Lee goes. That's going to be a tough one for Ferrante, right? Ferrante's a Bergen Catholic guy. We know that program. It's tough. Ferrante's seasons, he's had some great wins versus nationally ranked wrestlers. He's ranked as well. Obviously, going up against Nick Lee, a returning national champ, is going to be a tough one for him. Should it be against Meredith? I think the edge goes to Ferrante.
Got it. And then I'd say the main event of the evening, the one I'm looking forward to, number 9, Michael Kolioko. He's going against Roman Bravo Young. Roman Bravo Young, a lot of hype, man. He's, I think he's number 3 in all of Division I athletes in any sport in social media followings. He's signing deals left and right. He's getting it done. Kolioko is a little bit more of a quieter type, but slowly but surely he's ranked 9th in the country, and he's ranked there for a reason. He has some good wins. What are your thoughts on that matchup?
Yeah, so Kolioko, again, coming out of a real tough feeder program in Blair Academy, and he's been there. He's done it. He's been out against nationally ranked guys. Last fall in the U23 Nationals, he beat DeSanto, right? So he can do it. If he wrestles his match, and I think when you wrestle RBY, you got to slow the pace down. You can't come into a shoot off. If it's in a shoot off, RBY is just so dynamic that I think the match goes that way. But if Kolioko can wrestle his match, can slow the pace, can ride him, right, get a riding point time, my Baylor's bold prediction is that Kolioko takes it.
We're going Josh Baylor. You heard it here first. Yep, Kolioko is gonna get the big upset. I'm gonna be excited. I think the roof is gonna blow off the Palestra if that happens. So I'll be excited, and I think all those guys are gonna be at the inn before getting liquored up. So it might get a little wild there. All right, Josh. What
quick,
else do you have for us?
John, if you don't mind, I'd like to just give a shout out, Josh, to the Keystone Classic last week, because I actually got an opportunity to go down there. Had a great time. Saw a lot of the UPenn wrestlers go, and it's my 2nd week of the row. Throwing out a shout out to CJ Composto. So we're talking about Ferrante, who's obviously the 41-pounder, but CJ, to me, he hasn't wrestled in a couple of years, coming off a knee injury. I thought he had a hell of a tournament. Knocked off the number 1 seed in there. He lost a little bit of gas in his 3rd match. I think he went down 7-8, went 2-on-1 the day. But I'm really excited to see CJ at UPenn. I think you guys, Josh, got a good one there, hailing out of my town of Westfield, New Jersey. So had a great time at Keystone. Got to catch up with Clint a little bit. But I thought you guys ran a nice tournament down there. Really enjoyed it. So I'm looking forward to CJ getting more matches and hopefully making the trip down the Turnpike and seeing some more of you guys in the next couple of years.
Yeah, that's great. I couldn't agree more. I don't know if Ferrante is going to be a guy that steps out on the mat, actually. They have a tough wrestle off between Ferrante and Campasto. And like you said, he's solid. He's got a great future, whether he's in there this match or down the road. He's got a bright future ahead of him.
Nice. So that's good. What else you got for us, Josh?
Well, we talked a little bit about the Penn State heavier weights, right? 74 through heavyweight. And one little interesting tidbit to think about is that Mark Hall from Penn State, who has wrestled with all of those guys. Well, maybe not Max Dean, but at 97, we don't know who's going to step out yet, right?
Mm-hmm.
Could be Max Dean or Michael Beard.
Mm-hmm.
But for the most part, Hall's wrestled with all those guys. So Hall's in the UPenn wrestling room, giving the inside scoop to these guys. So there's a slight chance we might see an upset here. And if we did see it, I think it's going to be Cole Irvis at 97. Now, all of that said, love this match. Really looking forward to it. But I want to just run things back a little bit to some Rutgers action. When is Rutgers going to put UPenn on the schedule, on the calendar? When's this match going to happen? We're chomping at the bit for it, and we think you're ducking us.
All right. Why don't you go, Eric? What do you think about that question? I know we answered this before, more time to think about it. What do you think?
Oh, I feel like I'm getting set up here. I'm going to say the wrong thing. Listen, all respect to everything I said. Princeton, solid program. Cornell's always a top 10 program. But, we're battling out in the Big Ten every week, week in, week out. Michigan's, Penn State's, Iowa's, Ohio State. I mean, at some point, you need a little bit of a breather. We've got Ryder on the schedule. We obviously do the Turnpike match with Princeton. So to me, Josh, it's not disrespectful. At some point, you got to have a break in the schedule. So when you guys are ready to go with the big boys, that means we got to take another big boy off the schedule. And I'm not sure we've got the bandwidth to do that. No, jokes aside, John, I would love to get UPenn on the schedule. I mean, we've wrestled Lehigh in the past. I think keeping these Northeast powerhouses, so to speak, in the mold, obviously the way the Big Ten is scheduled, it's not like football where you don't necessarily have the East and West and wrestle the same teams every single year. So to me, anytime we can go against the national power in the Northeast, and I hate to say it, it sounds silly calling UPenn a national power, but the way they're recruiting right now and all the names we've mentioned, maybe they're not quite there yet, but they're definitely a program on the rise. I got no problem. I'm all about wrestling the matches. I'm all about going after the best anytime, anywhere, any place. So let's bring it on. Let's kick Ryder off. They're boring me anyway. Let's replace them with UPenn. Let's go to work.
Listen, we answered this question before, and I was a little salty at Roger Reyna I know in the 90s, we had a bunch of tough no names, and we wanted to go down and face the big red and blue machine. I know the Silver Fox was after it. Roger Reyna, he did not want, Brandon Slay going up against Rod Van Ness, Hot Rod, before the EIWA finals. He knows how athletic that guy is and how he's a little nuts too, man, and tough. He wanted to wait to the EIWA finals for that matchup. I know, he didn't want Mark Piotrowski going against Tom Wysocki before the EIWA semifinals. Tom Wysocki could have took him out of that national bid, and he knew Tom Wysocki. Not only that, this he's responsible for the legacy of the Piotrowski athletics for generations to come now. Roger Reyna saw that coming, and Roger Reyna did not want the Jefferson Army coming down the turnpike to see Jim McLean and Tom Tanis go out there. So I was a little salty at him. Time heals old wounds. 20 years, 25 years went by. Let me tell you, you said, the thing I do know about Roger Reyna, he's a competitor. He went out, he's getting the teams in. He will be sending out the top teams there. I say, let's do it. Let's get it done. Let's get Goodale, Goodale, make it happen, man. I'm going to take the Paco over. I'm going to go to the inn at Penn, get fired up before the match. I'll be there. I'll be ready to go. I know Winnuck's going to be there. I hear the music. Follow us, guys. We're going to be out. Great episode. Thanks for coming, Josh. Follow us. We're on Facebook now. We're on Instagram. We got all the technology down. We're on Spotify, YouTube, Apple Podcasts. Anywhere you get your podcast, be sure to check us out. We'll be back. I'm excited for this match Friday. Penn versus Penn State. Let's get it done. And relentless pursuit, baby.